going to do this step-by-step tutorial to show more or less how I do it. A scene where I use Unreal and Meshcapade for motion capture, because I use Unreal. Well, it's a software that allows for real-time rendering. That is what we are animating and placing in the scene. We will be able to see it in real time without having to do a render that would take us a lot of time. Blender also has a real-time render option. But well, I've already gotten used to using Unreal for several reasons. On one hand, it has a marketplace full of characters, environments. So in this way, I can manage to create an animation in a week. Content, for example, an animation in a week. Something I couldn't do if I had to acquire assets from everywhere. So that's already a great advantage. And not only everything available in the marketplace, but also the advantage of having many free things. Always. If you type free in the search bar, you'll find free characters, free environments. In other words, the possibilities to work with Unreal are endless. So that's why I chose this software at the time. For example, if you check this month, there are always products that are free. In this case, it has this environment, and it has this character, well, and it has this, there are always things, and these are environments that are quite valuable, or characters that are also quite valuable. So you can practically build a stock of all this, or, well, also by the ones you consider you will use, and that justify the purchase. In my case, I use the Unreal Marketplace quite a lot. So that's one of the reasons why this workflow. The other reason is that by doing it this way, you can create an animation of a few minutes. Thank you. A few seconds. But it ends up having character consistency, environment consistency, which doesn't happen for now with everything I was saying. Because if you use Runway or it's too much, or well, none of those will be able to achieve character consistency and environment consistency. Here, on the other hand, yes. And once we have the character and the environment, we can start adding all the animations we want, all the camera movements we want, and obtain a story. So well, that's the reason why I use Unreal. In this case, I'm going to use this environment, which comes with a lot of places and a lot of characters. We're just going to do nothing more. A part of a long animation that I made, but well, everything else would be done in the same way. Well, and once you have the asset, it will obviously appear here in the Epic Game Launch. In case there's someone who isn't used to using Unreal, I recommend that by making this video and already learning to handle this. You'll be able to do everything. There's no need for an extremely long and complicated Unreal course here, if the only thing you're going to do is what we're going to see in this video. So well, once you have this asset, or well, the one you're going to use, for this animation, the only thing you need to do is create the project. And there it will ask you in which folder you want to create it and with what name. In this case, I'm not going to create it because I already did. Then it will appear here in this part where you have all your projects. In my case, I named it this. So let's go in there. And well, here the project appears to you. So just as it is provided by the seller, the manufacturer, with Ctrl+R and Q, I can move. Well, this is just like in 2 video games with QWAS. With this, we can move around in the asset. What this part we're looking at here is called, this is called Map. For example, the maps part would be here. This is in any project you have. It's always in the map section. And in this case, well, this one is called Demo. It would be this one here. This is in case you are in another project and want to find it, you don't know where it is. It's always in the map section, and well, you have to look in the ones that appear here. In this case, this one is called Demo, but if not, well, you would have to start opening them. Each of these is called Label. It would be a level where the entire scenario is already set up. Practically all of them that come always come like this, meaning they can already be used. Well, for this exercise, I'm going to use this part of the level that has this bar-like feature here. I'm going to remove it, or better yet, move it. Well, now I'm going to look for the characters that I'm going to use for this scene. So I'm going to check here in which folder are the characters. They are generally in this folder that says Mesh. And I'm going to check these that say Charter, Unreal for Mannequin. These will surely be more compatible with the animation that I later will have to transfer. So I'm going to use these directly. And here are all the ones available, which are a lot. For this case, I'm going to use this one, which is my favorite. I'm going to place it here. I'm going to see what accessories I can add, which I already know are in this part. That's as attachment. And here are several things to add, like the helmet and those things. So I'm going to check. And obviously, this is the one that fits best. I had already used it in the animation. So I'm going to place it here anywhere. And now what I'm going to do to attach it to the head, I'm going to copy the character's position. So I select it. I do copy. I go here to the helmet, do paste. Rotation, no, because both are at 0. And now I'm going to move it to the head part. Here to move around. We can lower the speed of this. Then we have to remove this. If we don't want it to go by tens or the angle by tens, I mean, we can have this checked. No, depending on how we want to proceed here. In this case, I unchecked it because I want to go with more precision. I think if the helmet is fine there. So once I have it there, I'm going to lock the character now. So it doesn't move when it moves. So I have to select the character. And on this side, I have the helmet. I'm going to lock it there. It tells me I can't lock it. This is something that might happen to you. So you have to grab that mesh. Thank you. Click here, mobile. And now it will allow me to attach it. Here it asks me to which part of the body I want to attach it. And I'm going to set it to head. What I will set for when I need to use the camera and want to focus on the character's face. For example, I'm going to set this called actor, which is on this side. I need to have this selected. And I think, these are the ones that are used most often. I'm going to place the actor there. This one, more or less here by the face. I'm going to rename it. I'm going to set it as focus. Then I'm going to place it here as well. Attached to the head. Well, now I have one of the characters to which I'm going to add movement, and now I'm going to add the other one. Supposedly it's going to hit one of the zombies here. So I'm going to look for the characters again. Which were these? And I think there were some that were more like generic. Which were the zombies? Which could be these. Let's leave it anywhere for now. Another thing, in case there are users who don't use Unreal, to know is that if I want to remove these parts where, for example, the little lamp or these things are, I can go to this part of the menu, select Game View, and then everything will appear without the things that are specific to each element, meaning I see the image cleaner. Otherwise, with this, I can see, for example, that there is a light here, something that doesn't appear in the other type of visualization. Well, now that we have this, let's save. Now, we always do save all. And let's go to the Meshcapade section to see what we need. We enter Meshcapade and see that we have several options, but the one we are actually going to use is called Mocapade. We are going to enter here. I am going to log in. Well, and here I am going to show you the requirements, what you need to be able to bring motion capture to Unreal. I think that's here in this part. And you would have to look, for example, here where it says Unreal. And there it will tell you that, well, it has a plugin for 5.3 and 5.4. The one for 5.5 is not done yet. I still use version 5.4 of Unreal, which is not the latest, because I always prefer to use the latest one after some time has passed since its release. This way, there are no bug issues and such. So, well, you would have to use one of these two available versions. Maybe by the time you watch this video, the other version is already included here as well. And then you download that plugin, which will be a folder. And now we are going to see how we need to copy it into the project to be able to use it. Well, if you don't remember where your project was saved, you can go here to the My Project section in the launch. Right-click and it will open the folder where your Unreal project is located. And on the other hand, here is what you have downloaded as well, which is the Meshcapade plugin. What we are going to do is copy this folder into the project section here, that is, into this root folder. We are going to paste that plugin folder. Well, once we have copied that, what we are going to do is bring in one of the videos that we will use for the animation. So we will be here in the video section and we will import the video we are going to use. In this case, I'm going to take some fight videos from this channel called Motion Actor Inc. Obviously, this is for the tutorial, not for commercial purposes. And if not, I recommend that you, like me, record your own videos with the movements you are going to use. But for this case, I am going to use one from here. I'm going to use this one and we will see how it turns out. To see how it looks, I have to go here to the trunk section. And they all appear to me. Sometimes it goes directly and sometimes I shouldn't go directly to the trunk section. We see that here I already downloaded it. So I am going to open it with the editor. Well, I am going to open it with the editor. And here, well, we are going to export it directly. We can export the video if we want to make a kind of backup. In this case, I am only going to export the effects. So I go to each asset part. Select FBX Unreal and export. Well, there it is already downloading in this folder where I will save this FBX. Well, and for the zombie part, what I could do is film it. But I am directly going to take advantage of this option, which is text to animation. In some cases, it is quite useful. It's a database where one can extract movements. So for this one, I suppose there won't be a problem. Well, here are the options it generated for me. I think either of these two could work well. Well, so I'm going to use this one. I'm going to save it. And I'm going to download the FBX. Well, I have these two animations downloaded that I will use initially. Maybe later I'll add some more, depending on how I want to develop the scene. But initially I'm going to use these two. So I can now go to Unreal and import them. Well, here in Unreal I'm going to open a folder. And here I'm going to import those two animations. I'm going to go here, Control right, Import. I'm going to bring in the first one, click Open here. And here I'm going to show you the parameters we need to set to import it. In the skeleton, we're going to look for the Mixamo rig, so I'm going to click there. And I'm going to choose this one that says Mixamo page body. This part here, we're going to leave well. We could click on this, but it doesn't have morphs, but we're going to apply it anyway. And in the animation section, here, we're going to leave it here in sport time. And we'll leave everything else as it is. I'm going to do the same now to import the other animation. Well, I'm going to import this with the same configuration as before. I'm going to look for the skeleton here. And simply leave the rest as it was. Well, here we already have the two Meshcapade animations imported into our Unreal project. But these animations are still. For the mesh skeleton, what we need to do is transfer them to the character skeleton. I'm going to select this character and I'm going to check which mannequin it uses. So for that I'm going to enter here. And from here it will show me which skeleton it uses, which is this generic Unreal skeleton. And I want to see which folder it's in. I'm going to choose the preview section here, and in the folder section it will direct me to where it is. Which, from what I see up to here, says, well, the Polygon Cyber City folder, which is where the project is, the Epic Content section. Because they are, let's say, the common contents of Epic Blueprint and all that, and well, in the character mesh section, that's where the skeleton is. This is the skeleton that both this one and this one use, surely. In this case, if not, you always have to keep checking. Let's click there. Let's click here on the skeleton part. And yes, we see that it's the same one. Let's go here. I mean, the Meshcapade animations I will have to transfer to this skeleton. And that will automatically make them available for both characters. So, well, let's do the retarget. We need to transfer that animation. Let's go back to the folder where the Meshcapade animations are, which was this one here. And let's first try with the automatic retarget. It generally works. Otherwise, sometimes it needs to be done manually, but generally the automatic retarget works well. Let's choose, for example, this animation. Let's right click and go to where it says retarget animation. Here, on one side, we have the Meshcapade skeleton, and we will need to put that other skeleton, which was the one here. So when I click, it goes down here, but I can open it again like this from there. And I will choose the skeleton to the mesh, which will be this one. And I take this out from down here again. And I will put it here because it would be the target. Let's try with this animation. And let's see if it works well. So here we have two options. We can either export the animation directly, or we can have the retarget ready for any other animation we have. In this case, we need to do an export. Retarget asset. I will choose a new folder here. And I will export it here. That is, if I couldn't export these animations individually. Not from here, but we will leave the retarget in case I incorporate more animations from Meshcapade. So in this retarget, I can rename these to remind myself. If I had more, I will certainly name it Meshcapade Polygon. And without a doubt, we will enter here in the asset browser section. And here is where the animations I can send are located. One was this fight, and the other was the zombie one, because as I mentioned, we share the same mannequin for all the characters. So we are going to select these two, and we are going to do an export. I ran away. And I am going to export them into this folder. Well, now we are going to put these animations into a sequencer so we can start viewing them. Then we are going to set up the cameras and assemble everything. But the first thing we are going to do is apply them to the characters. So for that we are going to create a sequencer, which is created from here. I am going to open a new folder and we are going to place it here. Well, I am going to put it down here so it can be seen. I am going to place this character. For that I need to click there to have it selected. And here it will appear directly. To add it, I am going to extend this to have a larger timeline. And we will see that when I now click here, animation, the fight animation appears, along with the others that belong to that skeleton. And what we are going to do is position it so that the feet are more on the ground. And we will see if I will leave it here or place it somewhere else. Then I will have to place. Obviously those who are walking, but I will place them based on where she is throwing the punches. So we see that here she hits there. It might be better for me if this punch is more over here, because from this side none of these will be able to come walking. So I am going to turn it there. This one could be for another coming from here, and this one for another coming from here. So it would be quite good there. Well, and now we are going to add, we have to add 3 zombies in total, which are the 3 she's going to hit. We are going to click this one. We are going to make an add here. And we are going to add the animation that appears here at the end, zombie. Well, now let's see how to make it appear right in that place. And what do we have to do for when it hits, because it can't keep walking as it is. So let's see. This whole part, we are not interested. It should be hitting there head on. And the other one I will hit from behind. Well, let's rotate this one. 180 degrees more or less. And we need it so that when it makes the impact there with the fist, it is hitting there. So let's leave it there and see how we can position it so that it arrives just walking to that part. It should be positioned there so that it impacts right. The fist on the character. So this animation would be like this. Well, and now let's see what we need to activate so that when it hits, it obviously doesn't keep walking. What we need to activate is called physics, which we won't see here in the sequencer, but we will see it if we hit play. And when we do the render, so up to that point, at that moment, we need to activate the physics of this character. Let's go here. Having that character selected, let's go to the physics section. I'm going to click here, a keyframe. I'm going to move forward 1 frame, and here I'm going to activate it. Let's see how that would look. I'm going to activate. We can hit play here, or Control S. There, the play is already activated. And if I activate the play here in the animation, we see that by activating the physics, it obviously affects the body's physics. So when it collides with the character, it falls. Well, this is practically how we have to do everything. Or in this case, where we have the physics, it might be 2 characters fighting. We would already have the animation ready, but in this case, we have to use the physics for this character, so it would be like this. Well, let's duplicate this character to place the one coming from the backside. I'm going to go here, I'm going to duplicate, and I'm going to position it on the other side. I'm going to incorporate it here into the sequencer. And I'm going to assign it the zombie animation as well. Let's see which part is where she impacts with the elbow. There it does like a tap. Let's turn this off at least so we don't see it and get confused. That's when the other one should arrive. And here we do the same, right? Well, here, yes, it's going to hit with the arm. So it should be before. Let's activate the physics of this character. So let's go one frame back here. Of course, it seems to me that the physics is activated because what I did was duplicate the one I had. And let's move forward here. And here. Yes, we are going to activate. Let's see how the two look there. If it could look good there and I'm missing the kick it gives at the end. It should be from one that arrives around here more or less. So let's press stop here. And let's duplicate one more of these. I'm going to deactivate the physics. And I'm going to turn off these two so they don't bother me when I have to position it. Well, and here the same. I add it to the sequencer. And I have to add the animation as well. Well, there it should be at the moment it kicks. And here we are going to set a keyframe for the physics. Let's move forward one more and activate it. Well, let's see how the three turned out there, which I think should be fine now. Well, regarding the lighting, those who want to know more in detail how it is can leave a comment on the video for me to make a tutorial about it. And I'll do it separately. I'm not going to do it here because otherwise this video will become too long. What I will do in this one is set up the cameras to finish seeing how it can be generated. A scene like the one I made in the animation I uploaded a little while ago. So, well, I'm going to do a bit of lighting work and then I'll continue with the topic of the cameras. Well, here, I've already done the lighting work, which, as I mentioned, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments and we'll make a video just about that. This is to improve the environment a bit, to make it look a little better. So now what we're going to do to finish is the camera setup. I'm going to make a shot. That goes roughly from here to here when it hits this. So we're going to set up a camera. I'm going to use the settings I typically use, but of course, you can set up the camera however you like. And I'm going to focus on, I'm going to set it up like this so you can see the focus we placed here on the head. So for that, well, I'll go here to the focus section and I'll choose tracking. And here, we're going to select that focus I placed there on the head. Now, the camera will focus only here. And what's behind it, that's why it looks a bit blurrier. Obviously, if I set it here to 2, it will look even blurrier. If I set it to 50 here, I'll get closer and it will have more depth of field. Well, I'm going to make a camera movement. I'm going to start more or less from here, and when I finish hitting it, I'm going to turn so it captures it more or less from this side. And well, here I have to select the camera to be able to see the changes I'm making. And so it captures the modifications. I think it would be fine there, because otherwise it's too close. And the background still looks blurred. Go to set a keyframe. And I'm going to move forward. Now, here where he hits it, to end more or less here, so it looks like it's falling. Let's see how it would look. I press play. I have to select the camera. This or here, well, it's the same. So this camera is fine because it ends the action there more or less. I could move it forward. No, it looks good there, right about where I want it. And I'm going to set another camera now to capture this part from another angle. For that, I have to set up another camera. More or less, it will end there. So here I'm going to place the other one. For that, I'm going to grab camera 2. I'm going to place it here. I'm going to stretch this up to there. And now, when I select camera cut, it will take camera 1 and here camera 2 to capture this hit from here. I'm not going to give this camera any movement because I wanted to capture this. What I don't know is if I set the focus here. Let me check again. Ah, no, I didn't set the focus here. Now I did. Well, and here it will capture the other one, which is when he hits with that elbow. And then we're going to set up another camera, which is for the final kick. So I'm going to add another camera there. I'm going to set the properties. And I'm going to place this camera further away so the kick can be seen clearly. We can place it around here more or less. I'll have it captured from back here, which will look good. So the spin he does can be seen. I'm going to start from here and hit. The kick there. And there. And now a little. And we're going to put it in the camera cut. Here is where it would start. Well, now I have the 3 cameras.